Mrs. Crime, Mr. Wade, bringing you the stories. Stay tuned for a lot more. Mr. Wade here and Mrs. Crime. Welcome to another unfortunate story. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. Today's unfortunate story is about the Wineville chicken coop murders, also known as the Wineville chicken murders. Now, what took place were a series of abductions and murders of young boys that occurred in the city of Los Angeles and in Riverside County, California, between the years of 1926 and the year of 1928. Now, these notorious murders were carried out by Gordon Stewart Northcott, a 19-year-old farmer who had moved to California from Canada 2 years prior, as well as his mother, Sarah Louise Northcott, and his nephew, Sanford Clark. Now, Gordon Stewart Northcott was born in Blackburn, Canada, and raised in British Columbia. He moved to Los Angeles, California with his parents in the year of 1924. 2 years later, at the age of 19, Northcott asked his father to purchase a plot of land in the community of Wineville. Now, the plot of land in Wineville was located in Riverside County. This is where he built a chicken ranch and a house with the help of the father and his nephew, 11-year-old Sanford Clark. It was under his pretext that Northcott brought Clark from Bladworth to the U.S. Upon the boys' arrival at the Wineville Ranch, Northcott began to physically and sexually abuse Clark. In the year of 1928, August, out of concern for his welfare, Clark's 19-year-old sister, Jessie, visited him at the ranch at the time. The nephew Clark told her that he feared for his life. One night while Northcott was asleep, Jessie learned from Clark that Northcott had murdered 4 boys at the ranch. Once she returned to Canada a week later, Jessie informed an American consul there of Northcott's crimes. The consul then wrote a letter to the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, detailing Jessie's sworn complaint. Because there was initially some concern over an immigration issue, the LAPD contacted the United States Immigration Services to determine the facts relating to the complaint. On the year of 1928, August 31st, Immigration Services inspectors Judson F. Shaw and George W. Scollum visited the ranch. Northcott, having seen the agents driving up the long road to his ranch, fled to the tree line at the edge of his property, telling Clark to stall them and threatening to shoot him from the tree line with a rifle if he didn't comply. For the next 2 hours, while Clark stalled, Northcott kept running. Finally, when Clark felt that the agents could protect him, he told them that Northcott had fled. Northcott and his mother, Sarah Louise, fled to Canada but were arrested near Vernon, British Columbia on September 19th, the year of 1928. Clark testified at Sarah Louise's sentencing, saying that Northcott had kidnapped, molested, and beaten and killed 3 young boys with the help of his mother and Clark himself. Clark also testified about the murder of a 4th young man, a Mexican citizen, possibly Alvin Gothea, whose severed head Northcott had forced Clark to dispose of by burning it in a fire pit and then crushing the skull. Northcott stated that he left headless body by the side of the road near La Puente because he had no other place to put it. He stated that quicklime was used to dispose of the remains and that the bodies were burned on the ranch. During the investigation, authorities found 3 shallow graves at the ranch, exactly where Clark had stated they were. These graves did not contain complete bodies, but only parts. Clark and his sister Jessie testified that Northcott and his mother had exhumed the bodies on the evening of August 4th, the year of 1928, a few weeks before Clark was taken into protective custody. They had taken the bodies to a deserted area where they were mostly burned in the night. The complete bodies were never recovered. The evidence found in the graves consisted of 51 parts of human anatomy. Those silent bits of evidence of human bones and blood have spoken and corroborated the testimony of living witnesses. This evidence enabled the authorities to conclude that Walter Collins, 2 brothers named Lewis and Nestle Winslow, aged 12 and 10 respectively, and the identified 4th victim had been murdered. The body parts and Clark's testimony resulted in a death sentence for Gordon Northcott and the life imprisonment for Sarah Louise Northcott, who was later paroled in the year of 1940. She died in 1944. The city of Wineville changed its name to Miraloma on November 1st, the year of 1930, in large part because of the publicity surrounding the murders. The new cities of Eastville and Jurupa Valley took different parts of the area of Miraloma in the year 2010 and 2011, respectively. Wineville Avenue, Wineville Road, Wineville Park, and other geographic references provide reminders of the community's former name. Clark returned to Saskatoon, where the city records indicate that he died in June 20th of the year 1991. Canadian police arrested Northcott and his mother on September 19th, 1928. Due to errors in the extradition paperwork, they were not returned to Los Angeles until November 30th, year of 1928. While the two were being held in British Columbia awaiting extradition to California, Sarah confessed to the murders, including the murder of 9-year-old Walter Collins. But before being extradited to California, she retracted her confession, as did Northcott, who had confessed to killing more than 5 boys. After Sarah and her son had been extradited from British Columbia to California, she once again confessed and pleaded guilty to killing Walter Collins. She was not tried upon her plea of guilty. Superior Court Judge Morton sentenced her to life imprisonment on December 31st, 1928, sparing her death sentence because she was a woman. During her sentencing hearing, she claimed that her son was innocent and made a variety of claims about his parentage, including that he was an illegitimate son of an English nobleman. Miss Sarah also stated that she was Gordon's grandmother and that he was a result of incest between her husband, Cyrus George Northcott, and their daughter. She also stated that as a child, Gordon was sexually abused by the entire family. After being sentenced, Sarah attempted to commit suicide and begged the authorities not to execute her son. "I got a square deal," she said, "if they'll just be good to my boy, if they just won't hang him." After learning that her son would be hanged, Sarah begged the authorities to hang her as well. Sarah served her sentence at Tehachapi State Prison and was paroled in the year of 1940. She, of course, died in the year of 1944. Gordon Northcott was implicated in the murder of Walter Collins, but because his mother had already confessed and been sentenced for it, the state chose to not prosecute Gordon for that murder. It was speculated that Gordon may have killed as many as 20 boys, but the state of California could not produce evidence to support that speculation. Ultimately, the state only brought an indictment against Gordon for the murders of an unidentified underage Mexican national known as the Headless Mexican, and the brothers Louis and Nelson Winslow, aged 12 and 10. The brothers had been reported missing from Pomona on May 16th, the year of 1928. In the year 1929, Gordon Northcott's trial was held before Judge George R. Freeman in Riverside County, California. The jury heard that he kidnapped, molested, tortured, and murdered the Winslow brothers and the Headless Mexican in the year 1928. On February 8th, 1929, the 27-day trial ended with Gordon being convicted of those murders. On February 13th, 1929, Freeman sentenced him to death, and he was hanged on October 2nd, 1930 at San Quentin State Prison. He was 23 years old. I hope you guys enjoy this unfortunate story that once happened in Wineville to change to the city of Mira Loma in Riverside, California. I'm Mr. Wade and Mrs. Crime. A lot more coming from Tombstone Whispers. And never forget that we bring it to you.